So what do you do when the taxman shows up with an assessment? I was recently discussing with a friend who received an assessment from one of the state tax authorities. And I realized from that conversation that a lot of taxpayers do not even know what steps to take when they receive an assessment from the tax authority. For some taxpayers, the default mode is to do nothing. Others may just go into panic mode and fail to take steps that could protect their interests. And these reactions are understandable because sometimes the tax authorities can issue assessments that one can consider to be excessive, outrageous, or even annoying. And for some taxpayers, they believe that even responding to an assessment will just be validating the position of the tax authority and that the best option is to do nothing. But I'll tell you why it is very risky to do nothing in such a situation. When a tax authority serves a notice of assessment on a taxpayer, the taxpayer is allowed by law to object to the notice of assessment within 30 days of receiving the assessment if the taxpayer believes that the assessment is either excessive, illegal, or for some reason is not justifiable. And failure to object to the assessment within the stipulated period would make the assessment to become final and conclusive. What this means is that at that point in time, the tax authority is free to take recovery actions to recover the taxes plus penalties and interest that would have accrued on the principal amount. However, if a taxpayer objects to an assessment within the stipulated period, that objection suspends the powers of the tax authority to recover the taxes until the objection is resolved one way or the other. And upon the receipt of an objection, the tax authority may either amend, withdraw, or revise the assessment, or issue to the taxpayer a notice of refusal to amend. When the tax authority issues a notice of refusal to amend, the taxpayer again has 30 days within which to appeal the assessment to the tax appeal tribunal. And where the assessment is not appealed within this period, the assessment will become final and conclusive, and the tax authority can actually recover the taxes plus penalty and interest at that point in time. And the good thing is that you don't need a lawyer or a tax consultant to object to an assessment. You can actually do it on your own. But I also understand that a lot of taxpayers may not even know the basis to object to an assessment. So if you find yourself in that situation and you actually don't know how to go about it, then it is advisable that you seek the assistance of a tax consultant or a tax lawyer to advise you on the assessment and to assist you to object to the assessment. And you need to do this within the 30-day period that the law provides. Because if you approach a tax lawyer or a tax consultant when an assessment has already become final and conclusive, you make life a bit more difficult for yourself. So always act promptly when you receive an assessment, no matter how you feel about the assessment.